We're live.
Good evening, everybody. I'm calling to order this meeting of the Newburgh School District Board of Directors for December 13th, 2022. Our first order of business will be the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, reviewing the agenda, does anyone have any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda? All right, hearing none, we will move on to the approval of minutes. I would entertain a motion.
Before a motion though, I would like to make a note here that we have had a little, I think we need to do an amendment that says in all the motions that passed, we have 4 yes, 0 no's. It should be actually reported as 4 yes, 3 absent, and 0 no's. I think that we should make that adjustment if necessary.
I don't believe it's necessary because we do know which board members were absent at the top there. Directors Brown, Powell, and Riley were not at the meeting, so I think 4-0 is the correct vote on the motion.
Sounds good. So I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the minutes of the November 29th, 2022 board meeting. Any discussion? If not, I will call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion signify yes by raising your hand. Motion passes unanimous. All right. Moving on, we're now at the public comments portion of our meeting. Anything you want me to read before we get this started? You need the chart. Just a reminder, personnel matters are not to be discussed in public school board meetings. Members of the public who have personnel concerns or commendations should share them directly with the district superintendent. And with that, I will pass on to our district superintendent to read our public comments.
All right. Thank you. We have 4 or 5 that have been written in, and then we have 2 slides. So I'll start. The first one is from Drew Gallagher from NEA. He's the NEA vice president, the teachers union vice president. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for allowing Newburgh Education Association time for a message this evening. We're sorry we couldn't be here in person to read it. First, we are delighted that our new collectively bargained agreement has now been ratified by the membership as well as the board, just in time for the holidays. NEA leadership really started getting to know the almost entirely new district leadership team over the last few months. And we look forward to continuing that process and that work in the future, as well as collaborating on projects that will result in better learning environments for our students and working environments for our fellow educators. We're looking forward to a great start to 2023 soon, but not before we all get a chance to spend some much needed and much deserved time with our families and friends. For our educators, 2 weeks from work is a great chance to rest, recharge, look back on the year, think about how many things in our lives for which we are grateful, and reflect on some of the things that we could all spend a little time working on. We want to wish everyone in our schools and community a joyful holiday season. Let's come back in 2023 well-rested, with smiles on our faces and ready to continue doing great things for our students. Thank you, Jen Schneider and Drew Gallagher. Next one from Stephanie Whedon. Dear school board members and superintendent, my name is Stephanie Whedon. I am a parent of 2 young children in Newburgh schools. I come today to talk to you about my concern with the lack of movement and work regarding the school district's academics and curriculum. For far too long, you have focused on the flags and what teachers can and cannot display in the classroom. Let's move on and get back to work. I would like confirmation on what standards the school board has last adopted into the school district for social studies and health. I think it would be beneficial for the board to discuss and learn that at the elementary level, we do not have a mathematics, social studies, health, or science curriculum adopted. The work was disrupted and stalled for 3 years now, and staff are still piloting the math curriculum. While teachers have access to curriculum, if curriculum does not go through the proper adoption process, teachers technically do not have to teach using a curriculum, and it is merely a recommendation. CKLA was the newest adoption, yet teachers do not have a social studies or health curriculum to teach from. It has been probably about 10 years since the district has adopted curriculum. It seems that some board members have been concerned at one time with academics and where Newburgh lies in our state. However, where are the important conversations regarding curriculum and academics? I would like to know what plan the district has to ensure that our students and staff are supported academically. I am concerned that we are more focused about ensuring that teachers know they can have Bibles in the classrooms versus gaining momentum towards ensuring we have curriculum for our students. We are still focused on flags. All right, next one from John Paulson, Dr. Phillips and school board directors. Thank you so much for the excellent district newsletter that your office is providing. This gets better and better each week. I can tell how much preparation and care is put into this publication, and I appreciate the commitment to transparency I'm seeing from the district. Thank you for genuinely caring about our kids. Sincerely, Tom Paulson. The next one and last one is Melanie Taylor. I hope this letter finds the board well. I am writing specifically to address my concern about the flippant nature of the policy committee around updating the criteria and methodology used to identify talented and gifted students in our schools. While I can see that the matter of gifted education and enrichment is complex, I believe that in the best interest of our community, that we update our understanding of identifying gifted students and implementation of programs to match best practice guidelines as outlined by OSBA, as informed by expert opinion in child development. We cannot rely on, quote, gut feelings here. As a mother, I need to know that my child has access to every available resource for success. I also need to know that everyone else's child has the same access. I need our policies to be evidence-based. To be clear, I believe that all children are gifted and talented. I believe that some children are academically gifted and talented. I believe that the current population of identified students is disproportionately and unacceptably wealthier and wider than the actual population. This is because of structures and policies that we have a chance to change. We can be intentional, clear, fair, and transparent when structuring our policies. I need to know that regardless of the proverbial backpack that my child brings to school, that antiquated definitions and understanding won't hold them back from being competitive on whatever level they choose for their next steps. The excellence gap is real, and we hope to position NPS graduates competitively. We need to ensure that we are able to identify gifted students from low income as well as advantaged backgrounds.
All right. All right, it looks like we have two speakers for in-person tonight. First one is James Wolper.
Good evening, members of the board, district staff, and members of the public. My name is James Wolper. I'm a parent, a graduate of Newburgh High and George Fox. I'm a police officer, a school resource officer, and I'm a veteran. Most of this is going to be for Dave. I know he's not here, but I'm sure he'll hear it later. Back in October, I gave public comment and I asked you, Dave Brown, to step up, put your politics aside and do the job we elected you to do. To take responsibility for your actions and stop blaming others. Yet just last month, Dave, you somehow twisted the fact that someone burned a flag and made a Hitler salute into your own personal victim statement. Claim that you were somehow the victim, when in reality, people have been trying to hold you accountable for your own awful choices. In my job as a police officer, if I had 4 lawsuits filed against me in 1 year, I'd be facing internal affairs. In my job as a supervisor in the military, a significant amount of my subordinates were leaving the service due to a hostile work environment and blaming me, I'd be relieved of my duties. If 48% of the populations that I serve wanted me recalled, my bosses would not call any of that a victory. They would rightly call that a failure, and I would be asked to resign or be fired. Yet you continually refuse to take responsibility or say, step down, Dave. So as someone who has stepped up for my country and community in uniform since 2010, it is time to stand up for Newburgh. I'm announcing that I will be running against you, Dave, for School Board of Directors Zone 6, and I hope everyone hearing this will join me in removing you from office this coming May. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Elaine Kisco.
I did not know what Jay was going to say. James, sorry. Wow. I have something along the same lines. But first I want to say this. I don't know if it's worth saying, but the last board meeting I attended, someone walked in front of me and sat down who I was angry at because they had yelled at me saying, Elaine Costello, find Jesus, on the street publicly. And that made me feel not safe. Certainly didn't help anything. I regret that I was angry and called that out. So I want to own that. I really do. And you all know why I'm here. Last January, I sent in a complaint and you all have not responded to it at all. That's your job. It's your job to respond to complaints. It's what you're supposed to do. And what was worse is after the meeting, I talked to the chair and the vice chair, and one said that I was basically mean and awful, and that's why they weren't hearing my complaint. And the other one, I will never speak to them privately again because it was abusive. Said something along the lines of, you know, we are going to hear your complaint and you're not going to get to speak and we're going to humiliate you. And that board meeting, Dave Brown was defensive and got a standing ovation from the crowd. You want to know why this town's divided? Take some responsibility. Talk to people. We don't agree. I know that.
Thank you.
Let's talk.
Your time's up. All right. Any other comments?
Maybe next time call.
All right. So we are at the reports, or I'm sorry, the consent agenda portion of our meeting. And we have new hires and resignations, and I would entertain a motion.
And move that we, the Newburgh School Board of Directors, approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes unanimously. All right, now we are on the reports, presentations, and discussions items of portion of the agenda, and the first item is NHS student fees and new courses. Carry on.
Thank you. I know you have this information in your packet. It has been a long time since we have discussed course fees for the high school because throughout the pandemic, we were able to access relief funds to offset course fees. And we are at the point where I don't think that we can do that anymore. Those grants are running out. And so we have some new course fees, they are highlighted, I believe, in your packet. Many of the course fees are the same. The ones that are highlighted are either new course fees or their increases in fees because we have discovered throughout the years, we haven't raised course fees and we're actually, it's costing us more than what we're taking in. So I would entertain any questions, any discussion regarding the course fees. I know that it's been a few years, so.
I have a question. Thank you for presenting this. If a student is not able to afford this, is there a proper channel that they need to go through to keep their privacy and also ensure that they can also take these classes without the cost?
Yes, thank you. Excellent question. So any student who qualifies for free and reduced lunch, these fees are automatically waived. That's inclusive of athletic fees as well.
Thank you for that.
So Tammy, the ones in yellow are the changes.
Correct. And I'd be happy to
Having-
discuss those.
Do we have any purpose of, or way to compare what they are going from to? I just
So
have the dollar amount that they're going.
yes. So I did bring the old course fees from last year. So AP Studio Art, for example, is going from $25 to $30. Calligraphy also going from 25 to 30. Most of these are incremental increases due more than anything to the rising costs of materials. The entrepreneurship is actually a new course. And so this is just an initial course fee proposal for entrepreneurship. Same with intro to kinesiology and medical science. Those are two courses that we've recently added to our health services career pathway. Physics is a fairly new course to the high school. We taught physics for a long time. It went away and now it has come back. I know, yes. So most of the art fees are just incremental increases. If you turn to page 2, the non-NHS student athletic fee. So this is something that's probably not well known to most, and it wasn't even known to me until Mark Brown informed me. Whenever we have a student who is not a district student, in-district student, and they come to our district to participate in athletics. So we have private schools in our area, and we have, Connections Academy and other venues for which students earn their education, but they can access our athletic programs here. There's quite a bit of paperwork that has to be done for those students to actually participate in athletics. And so it is, OSAA has recently approved this practice of charging an additional administrative fee for those students who are not in district. And so Mark would like to propose a $25 fee for those students. And then the PE uniforms, this is one area where we have been losing money for a long time. So it traditionally has been, we have divided it out. The PE locker used to be $6 and the t-shirt was $6, the shorts were $9, which added up to a total of $21. So they're asking for a $4 increase for the entire package, t-shirt, shorts, and locker for PE.
You're gonna come with another question.
Sure.
So I see that in sciences, you have a $20 fee for chemistry and a $20 fee for physics, and these are sciences that are, from my educational background, I had to have physics, chemistry, and biology. My 3 years of high school, 1, 2, and 3. So I am concerned that these two sciences, having a fee associated with them, that it would be discouraged to take them, because I don't see a fee for biology, for example, although we do have for anatomy and physiology lab. I guess my question is, these fees for these courses, they are more related to materials as opposed to needs that they could, because I can see how a biology class would not have as much materials, right?
You're correct. Yes, so it's primarily lab fees. So these are science courses that have lab fees. lots of consumable supplies and materials that go along with those labs. And so that's really what the fees are accounted for.
Okay, yeah, I would not want to see a student that maybe has the means that the family, does not qualify for a waiving of the fee, but also, would not take these courses because they have to pay for it. So to me, it is concerning that physics and chemistry, which are, to me, my point of view, very basic science courses that every student should be exposed to, at least for 1 year. And now we are charging them for that. So I'm not happy to see that, but I don't know if there's a way around it from the district level to ensure that these two sciences are available to everyone at no cost.
Yeah, that is a great question. I can tell you that the fee for chemistry and when physics was prior on the books, those fees had been instituted for quite a while. So I completely understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily disagree, and I especially don't disagree with the fact that I believe that all students should be accessing chemistry and physics and biology as part of their overall science program. So I don't have an answer to your question, Raquel. It would probably be something that we would have to discuss at the district level.
Yeah, I'd be happy to have these conversations to make sure that, as one of our letters talked about, access to curriculum. And this is, I'd be shocked to see a student graduate high school without ever having a class of physics. To me, it's very concerning. So I would like all of them to be exposed, but that's just, sure.
Well,
Something conversations to first of the
absolutely. And just to clarify, students typically do enter their freshman year in an integrated physical science class. That being said, it's not the same as physics.
Right.
Yeah.
What would be the financial hit to eliminating the fees for chemistry and physics and computer science?
To be honest with you, I don't know. I would have to take a look. It is hard. It's honestly, Brian, hard to say because we haven't charged fees for a couple of years. So we'd have to go back and look, and I'm happy to do that and work with Heather to see what those fees accrued in the past.
And then as far as board action on this tonight, were you looking for us to approve this here tonight or at the next meeting?
So as far as I'm concerned, this can absolutely be a first read. Since I'm here presenting to you folks, I really don't need something finalized until probably late January. We'll start to work on the course guide and we'll have to list those in the course guide by early February. So
Yeah, I'd love to see a study of financial impact to ensure that these sciences are at no charge for and see what that looks like in numbers for our budget for next year. That would be something that I'd love to see happen.
Are there any other questions or things people would like to say about this before we move on to the first descriptions? All right.
awesome. All right, this is the fun part. I don't have a lot to present tonight, but it's always fun when I get to talk about some new course offerings. Anytime that we propose new courses at Newburgh High School, we always look through the lens of our vision, which is to prepare students for college, work, and life through post-secondary opportunities, career pathways, and relevant and meaningful learning opportunities. And so these two particular courses that you have in front of you certainly fall under the realm of career pathway opportunities. For the last couple of years, we've had a strong focus on developing our career pathways. They have not been structured in kind of a linear progression that we would like to see. And so we're looking to provide opportunities where students can progress from one class to another until they hit somewhat of like a capstone course or work-related opportunity. And we do have some of those career pathways fully developed, but not others. And so the first course that is proposed is photography 2. We have had photography 1 for a long, long time, and we haven't had a second level course for photography as part of our visual arts pathway. So this would, excuse me, this would not cost any additional funding or FTE. We would simply replace a couple of sections of photography 1 with photography 2. So those kids who've already taken photography 1 can just advance to photography 2. Sometimes we have kids who take photography 1 multiple times. So it fulfills the requirement for the graphic design pathway. And like I said, it is FTE neutral. And so let me go back. One thing that I forgot to say within our career pathways, when we have what we call CTE completers, career and technical education completers, we actually get kind of a kickback. It's called career pathway funding. So when we have certain numbers of students who do a full pathway and earn 3 credits in that pathway, we get a little bit of money kicked back to our programs to reinvest in our programs. So that's why our focus is on creating these linear pathways. The second course proposal is integrated wood design. And this is actually replacing an old course called furniture design. The concept behind our integrated wood design is really taking the manufacturing component and combining it with our woods component. So we have a class right now called Makerspace, and kids design and develop prototypes through Makerspace. And this is kind of taking it to the next step. So they research, they design these prototypes, they make them through the Makerspace program, and then they would actually build that through the woods program. So it's kind of combining the two, the manufacturing and the woods together. So again, not FTE neutral. It's not going to cost us any additional money. It's simply taking our furniture design course and kind of redesigning it to integrate both of those programs together.
And you said a similar thing with photography. What were we doing to make that FTE?
So we usually have, since photography is a semester-long course, we usually have multiple sections of photography, 6, 7, sometimes 8 sections. We're simply looking to take a few of those sections away from photography 1 and make it photography 2, so that those kids who have already accessed the first level can access the second level. I mean, in an ideal world, we'd be throwing all sorts of FTE at me, and I can just offer everything in a lot, but I know that that's right. So, so we try to propose things or replace things so that it's fairly FTE neutral.
And then same question as on the fees. You need this by when?
Probably same timeline, sometime in January. If you guys want to look them over, if you have any follow-up questions, I'm happy to answer those. I always like to give you guys an update. Several of you have been on the board for years, and you have gone through the process of us entering into a partnership with Willamette Promise, which is a college dual credit articulation program. And when we first started, we had 1 or 2 classes. We now have 8 classes that are articulating with Willamette Promise. I just got the report back from our partners, and we had 116 students last year earn 464 credits, which amounts to about $142,000 in cost savings for college. So we continue to grow that program. We didn't have any new courses to add this year, but I'm very happy with the way that that is going and how many opportunities it's opened up for our kids.
Yeah, especially looking at the financial impact, knowing that you already have the staffing and that there's no additional costs to add these. I don't have any problem with, I mean, from my perspective, to adding these programs. I think you're doing a great job to, build up these career paths for the students that and bring these skills that they're learning to their lives afterwards. So kudos for that.
Thank you. And I'm excited for our new building. Yeah.
Hey, Tammy, what's the goal on the number of pathways and how many do we currently have to develop?
It's a great question. So I actually recorded, we have right now 8 career pathways, but some of them are considered in development by the state, which they're not fully developed, meaning we don't have enough credits to make it a true career pathway. One of those pathways is education. And if there's ever a time to really consider building a career pathway in education, it's now, as we've seen with a lot of shortages in employees. And so I'm hoping that that is the next one that we really take a look at and dive into so that we can develop a full pathway. That's
So the answer is 8 pathways is the total we're planning on having, some are in development.
yeah.
Application.
Yep, agriculture, science and technology, business and management, design and construction, education, design and construction is actually in development, but this added course today will help. Graphic design, hospitality and tourism, mechanical and engineering, medical sciences and performing arts.
Are there any other comments or questions? Thank you very much, Dan.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on. Next item on our agenda is the board communication follow-up to what we discussed on 11/29. I'll turn over to you.
All right, unfortunately, Chairperson Brown is sick tonight. However, he did speak with me and Dr. Phillips and said that he would be involving our board secretary, Tabitha Reedy, and Dr. Phillips in our routine email correspondence for the purpose of expediting responses. Chairperson Brown suggested that I mention this tonight, and we hope that you'll get better soon.
Here, thank you very much for that update. Sounds like we found a good place for that. Good. All right, next item is our special session for December 27th. Dr. Phillips.
Thanks, Danny. So what this is about is, if you all remember, we signed a contract with First Student to help us through the rest of this year, December 31st. So that contract is obviously coming due, so we have to do another contract to keep them on to help, so they can help SDA or any other. It's not going to be just for students open up. So we put out another RFP to get help for the busing company to come in and help SDA for the rest of the school year. So starting from January until the end of the school year, June. We need to have a special board meeting on approximately December 27th. That's where we need all the timelines dictated by the state with procurement rules. We need to have a special board meeting that will be quick. I recommend we do it over Zoom so we can be anywhere to do it. And it's basically, we open, pledge allegiance, we issue the contract, you approve it or not, I suppose, but then I don't know how kids will be at school on January 4th. You approve it and that's it. So that's what the special ed session will be about.
Discussion around that?
Sounds fine.
So there will be no approving of the agenda of the minutes from this meeting. We'll leave all of that to the next. It is just a special session just for purpose of this contract and meeting the deadlines mandated by state.
Correct. There won't be board comment. There won't be, other than if you have questions about the contract. I won't have comment unless it's about that contract. It will be quick. Just, yep.
I don't have a problem with having that meeting. My preference would be via Zoom as well. But I'll show.
Great.
No. All right, so we will plan to do that virtually on December 27th. Should be a thrilling meeting.
Yes, it'll be at 7 p.m.
All right.
7 to about 7:05.
All right, our next item is a board complaint review with Scott Leonard.
So the board asked me to follow up with Ms. Costello. She has a complaint against the board chair. So I sent out an email to her on the 18th of November and again on the 1st of December and hadn't heard back from her. I'm still willing to extend the offer. If she's willing to meet, I'm willing to sit down and discuss the complaint that's been brought forward. The board and the superintendent have asked me to follow up in this process. So I want to extend that option or that opportunity. If you'd like to meet I'd be more than willing to sit down and listen and take in the complaint and any documentation you may have. Yeah, and we can talk about that. I do have your email, but I don't want to announce it over the airwaves. It's for privacy purposes. I could be in the spam folder. So yeah. Yeah, so anyway, sorry for the discussion back and forth, but Ms. Costello and I, sounds like we will be getting this set up here pretty soon. So
Sounds good.
look forward to that. One other thing I wanted to follow up on, I spent last 3 days last week in Eugene at a law conference and policies. So just wanted to remind you that my policy committee will be meeting this Thursday at 6 o'clock and will be broadcasting and open to the public as well. A bit of news is that we will have another quarterly update. It's supposed to be tentatively coming from OSBA, Oregon School Board Association, sometime in the next week or so. My past experience tells me we'll see it in January. So once I get that packet of information, I'll be reaching out to you. But in the meantime, we've got a few policies that are dated that we need to take a look at, decide what direction we want to go in. Questions or comments about that? That's all I have.
All right. We will move on to our next item, financial report. Heather Bixby.
So I've included in your board packet, the financial report for the month of November. The important thing to note about this is that it also shows your revenue for tax collection for the month of November, which is a big month. Typically in districts, you see about 85 to 90% of your tax collection just in the month of November. And we are just slightly over 89%. So we're right on target for that. As far as everything else, our revenues actually look really good for this year. And expenditures, we're being very fiscally responsible and not overspending. We're asking questions about charges that are coming through, monitoring grant spending, just trying to make sure that we're making the best decisions for the students and staff. So overall, I'm comfortable with where we're at right now. One other thing I did want to mention is the status of the audit. As you know, this year we are the auditors that come in are looking at the prior year's financial statements and their spending. That can be really hard to recreate sometimes when you have new staff come in. I don't always know what the previous person, why they made certain decisions they made. So we're working through some of those. But in a nutshell, the end result is we probably will not have the audit complete by December 31st. So I've already let ODE know that there's a potential that we will be going into January before our audit is finalized, and that means it may not be presented to you until February.
Is there any implications for not having that done by the end of the year?
There is potentially the state could say that we're going to withhold your state school funding until your audit is complete. However, I've been in constant contact with ODE through this transition, and so they know where we're at. They know what we're working on. They know that it's not something that we're just not doing. It's something we're actively working on. So if there is a withholding of the state school fund, as soon as the board of directors approves the audit, then that money will come back to the district. So it's not, the only implication is that they hold it to kind of motivate people to get them done as quickly as possible because you don't have any money coming in. But I don't feel like 1 month will be detrimental to the district. And for me, it's more important that we just get the audit right.
Yeah, and it's not money we lose, it's money we get.
Yeah, we will get it eventually.
I have a question, I'm sorry. So far, do you have any
I know that, the report and all the final, findings, I guess, are just disclosed with this report. At this time, do you have information that there will be findings that are of concern?
Yes. I do know that there will be some findings in the audit. It's not necessarily uncommon that there are findings in an audit when you move to a brand new auditing firm, you bring in a brand new business manager that is trying to do the audit for the previous person's fiscal year. So, I mean, there are going to be findings. I do know some of them. I think they will be minimal. Some of them we have already addressed, and those will be a comment for the audit with the caveat that the district has already taken the steps to correct it, to prevent it from happening.
So I guess to explain what that means. So there were some things that were not, that the auditors found to be different from what they should be? Or was it more about this should have been done this way and it was done the other way? I guess I'm trying to understand from, I'm not a financial guru, but I am trying to understand what is it going to look like for the district if these what these findings mean, I guess.
So basically what the findings mean is that depending on how many they were to find can be the difference, kind of if you look at it like a report card. Like an A is a really good audit and a C is kind of, there's some room for improvement, but you're not really doing anything that's really wrong. And then you get down to your D and your F and, they're going to put their thumb on you and they're going to watch you continuously and monitor your federal funding because that is in jeopardy if you score too bad on your audit. Right now, if I had to guess, I'd say we're probably at a C. There's some definite things that don't meet government accounting standards. And a lot of those we have already addressed, and going forward, we're not going to have those issues.
Thank you for that. I was wondering that you were going to say it or do, but I'm happy to know that, I'm getting A, but maybe a C, and that mainly that any findings as you are working through the audit with the auditors that you are addressing to satisfy and hopefully, not have these problems in the future. So I thank you for that.
You're welcome. And there are several of these issues that I knew would be findings when you develop a relationship with auditors. I've worked with these auditors before. I knew exactly what they were going to be looking for. So when I came in, we started implementing those changes even before our audit began because we knew that was going to be an issue. So it's really to our credibility that we address those issues before they even had to point them out to us.
And is there a root cause analysis being done as to why these mistakes were? We come from the industry where we're audited all the time, and we have, the main way to solve this is a root cause analysis and why is this? So we'll just say that you guys have gotten down to the drilled down to why this happened and solve that.
I don't know that we could, it's really hard for me to put into somebody else's mind why certain things were done certain ways. And there were so many changes and, just different people do things a little bit differently and different auditors look for different things. And even though they're all kind of looking for the same thing. So having the experience of working with these auditors, I knew exactly what they were going to be looking for. They were things that in my previous district, many of them were errors that we found there too, and we had to correct them. So they're not uncommon errors, but they're just different, something different that this group of auditors looks for than another group, which is why it's good every once in a while just to change your auditors and have fresh eyes come in and look at your books and
make sure that your procedures are all in place.
Thank you so much for answering all these questions. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I have no more.
Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you, Heather. Appreciate your diligent work. On to board action items. First item of business is the new website platform, Edlio.
All right, so, Edlio was presented to the board at the last board meeting 2 weeks ago. We had the representative from Edlio here and gave the
Elevator pitch.
Yes. And we had Michelle here and she helped present some data and in the meantime, we have reached out and I'll be on, we, meaning Michelle, has reached out to check with, I believe, 4 school districts.
I reached out to 5.
Okay, did you hear back from 5?
3 have responded on survey, and the 4th one never was able to send me the answers, but they wanted to, so I just didn't reach out to them.
Okay,
The 5th one response.
so in the responses of the 3,
All positive, very positive. On a scale of 1 to 5, how likely to recommend, 4 said 5, meaning absolutely recommend, the 3rd one 4. And then all of them I think got praised. There were a few things that they had concerns about, but it was nothing of, really, there was, one issue that had to do with the server, but I think the whole server for Amazon was down. That was one issue. Beyond that, there was nothing. That's concerned.
and I don't know if the board, it sounded like 2 weeks ago, the board, at least some board members might have wanted some time to, I don't know if they wanted time to do their own sort of investigation, but.
I took some time to evaluate some of the different websites that were powered by them, and I was very impressed. They were intuitive, they loaded quickly, they had a nice graphic interfaces. Some of the other things I liked is that they focus specifically on K-12. So that's important because there's certain needs that K-12 has. I'm impressed with the amount of clients in Oregon and the US, LA Unified. For example, that's fantastic. Beverly Hills, West New York, they've been around for over 20 years. So they're probably not going to away tomorrow. And also almost everybody says we have we have great technical support. So I actually called their tech support number and I called their West Coast company, which I also like, West Coast, and I left a message at around noon. And I got a call back in an hour from a nice young lady. I didn't even say who I was, just please call this number. And that's impressive time for nowadays. That's really nice turnaround. I like that they're on the West Coast because East Coast company, they might go home at our 3 o'clock. And having been in software, that was always an issue because I had my headquarters on the East Coast. So I really do like that. And I just overall say that this is a great project. From some numbers that Tabitha supplied, we'd actually be spending less upkeeping this than our current system. And so many great features. It'll bring us together more as a community because stronger communication brings us together and makes us more efficient. And we all have to be more efficient now. So I believe I'm for it.
Now that's an elevator.
Yes.
Are there any other comments or questions?
I think I do have a couple of comments. They're more about, I to not drill down and go deep in researching it. I guess my comments are more on implementation and timeline and, you know, if there is a type of test site for you know, trying and seeing what it's going to look like before we shut down the old one. If there's a way for us to have that system be live and then have maybe a test lab with a few parents and some of the district employees to go in and kind of, you know, just do an exercise of, hey, this looks great. I'm having difficulty with that. I I'm weary of having this transition happening like very fast and so I don't know what that would look like, and if that's something that you can work with the service provider, which seems to be very great, to do a transition that is as smooth and not painful for the users of the website, which are the parents of the kids, these kids that go to school.
So I can address part of that. Well, as they build this one up, they leave the old one active. And they won't unplug the old one until the new one, until we give them the go ahead. So we can play with it, we can tweak it, we can take as long as we want. And we can, as you suggested, we could have a panel of people play with it, check it out, right, and make suggestions. We can do all of that. And then when we're ready, we flip the switch, the old one goes down, the new one is in. So yes.
Yeah, I'd love to see that panel happen so that we can have an input from the community that says, yeah, we like this, or hey, can we add this, or that this is not working, so that we have multiple eyes, giving an input so that this is something that, because this is not for us, it's for them. So I want to make sure that we are going to have very happy customers with this.
And I will tell you, it is not necessarily for me because I don't play with the website all that much, but I'll tell you what, people like Tabitha and others, this will save them a ton of time. It's much newer technology, and it's much cleaner for the user and the customer, but definitely it's a win-win.
I just wanted to add, Raquel, that Rose and I had every intention, just so everyone knows, of reaching out to the community and to the employees to find anybody that wants to volunteer to be on that panel, so we can have people from all sides and all the different areas, so we can all come together and find out what the best solution and how that will look for everybody. We want to get input from the community.
That's great. Beautiful. I have no concern.
And you are looking to have us adopt this.
Yes, sir.
I would entertain a motion if anyone would like to make.
I'll move that the Newburgh School District Board of Directors approve the 5-year contract with Ed Leo as presented.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded to approve the 5-year contract with Enleo as presented. Is there any discussion? If not, I will call the vote. All those in favor signify yes by raising your hand. Motion passes unanimously. We have a new website.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Here's the next item, surplus items.
Yeah, so I would like to invite Mr. Larry Hampton up to help with this. Larry is actually going to present on the surplus items and a couple other items on the agenda.
Yeah. So, actually typically probably the surplus list would even be on the consent agenda, but there were kind of some bigger things here and we haven't done one for a while. So just thought it would be good to go through it. Yeah, if you have any questions, basically, surplus from our standpoint and with the kind of physical plan stuff, usually we have, vehicles and equipment that come from school. We have one a little different one this time with a portable that will no longer be needed once the Edwards addition is done. The portable, and we've moved them already for this. Portables are not great to move a bunch of times. The term portable is kind of a misnomer. The other thing about them is it is in a lot of ways it's more expensive to site them than it is to buy them. I mean, just all the things you have to do to set it up, especially power, and if you want, these have bathrooms in them, but if you want to have sewer and water and all that, I mean, it gets very expensive just to get them set up someplace. We don't have the need for them at this point, so there's not like we want to just go set them somewhere. And in fact, my intention would be to see if there's other districts around that could use them. And some of the portables we currently have, we got from other districts. I think the last set that we got rid of, well, the last set we got rid of were really old and bad shape and we tore them down. This last summer at Shannon Valley, but the last set we actually, moved on. I think Vernonia or someplace took them. So, anyway, that's a little different. There's, several food service items on here. Again, a lot of it mostly because of the bond, a lot of it because of Edwards Cafeteria going away. New equipment is coming for the new building. But then also there's been just with the bond opportunity to upgrade some of the equipment in some of the other kitchens as well. And so again, pieces of equipment that will probably have some value out there somewhere, but we don't need them. And, don't want to take the space to just have them sitting in the warehouse somewhere. We actually do have, I think, 3 pieces of kind of bigger, food service equipment that we are going to keep because they are things that would be good to kind of have a backup, but the rest of this isn't needed at this point. So anyway, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I'm full of questions today, sorry. Do you have an estimate? Well, I guess 2 questions. First, how many portables?
Well, it's one set, but there's 2 classrooms.
Okay, so it's like one house with 2 classrooms.
Yeah, most of the portables, well, we don't have that many anymore, but most of what we do have, it's a longer unit, it's split in the middle, has a classroom on each end. But as far as moving it, well, when we moved it, you split it down and actually the middle, not the, the long way. So like a mobile home,
Right.
you would see moving. So, yes.
Okay, so it would be like one mobile home.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have an estimate for these items? How much
As
they
far as
cost?
what we might get from them?
Yeah.
Not really. What we do, for the most part, again, the portables will probably put out, again, to actually to school districts. But most of these things, what we do is, use the public surplus auction site. And then, that's how we get away from having to worry about, somebody inside getting a special deal or something. We have to make sure that it's all neutral that way. So if it's on the public auction, anybody can bid on it. Somebody locally can, we've had people from Southern Oregon or, other places buy things like this as well. So, it's always interesting who wants some of these things. Some of these things, again, have value or are still usable. Some of them less so, but there always seems to be somebody that is willing to, I had one guy that bought a bunch of old equipment that just likes to take things apart and see how they work. So.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I guess just along those lines. So what is our process? Do we have an approved process for this? Like you said, you thought that maybe you would put them up on the surplus.
Well,
website.
and then this is the prior. The first step is for you to declare them surplus. From there, there's different ways we can handle things. If we know we can make them available to other private schools here in town, other school districts around, and again, some items we would look to sell. Some items we would, make available that way and give away. And then things that don't fit into that category, again, we would list on the auction site and we just sell. So,
And
frankly,
sorry, we do have policy.
yes.
Policy DN, and it basically lines out that once you claim it surplus, the district can then throw it away, give it away, or sell
Yeah.
And important to say that people who make the decision, no person involved in declaring property surplus may later come into possession of the property. So
Right, all right, I can't, well, they won't have to put in my backyard or anything like that. I'm not- Yeah, yes,
Anyone see the portable?
I don't need one
Larry's
of
talking.
these big ovens in my kitchen or anything.
we're-
But yes, that's part of why we do we are selling them, we do the public auction, because then, again, it's just, if somebody locally did buy it, they outbid everybody else.
Yeah, so is there, so you talked about maybe seeing if any of the other schools, is there another website that you put it on there to see?
Well, I'm a part of OSMA, which is the Oregon School Facilities Directors Association. So, and like Heather is part of the Business Office People's Association, we would start probably with the portables in particular, would start with that and just say, hey, we have these available, with the portables, it's more about timeline. We need them out of there this spring, when, once school is out, pretty much they need to go away because all the other improvements in that area need to happen. So either they're going to get torn down by Skanska, or somebody will want them and will be able to get them out of here in that time. So that's, yeah.
Okay, would the other district generally pay the moving costs?
Yes,
on that?
yeah, that would
So
be
the
the
state
requirement.
just might-
And that's where I would offer them to them free, but they have to move them, they have to pay to move them and cite them and all that.
Any other discussion or questions? No, I would entertain a motion.
I move that the Newburgh School District Board of Directors approve to surplus the items listed as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the surplus of items listed as presented. Any discussion? If not, I will call the vote. All those in favor of the motion, please signify yes by raising your hand. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Yeah. The bus thing for next. And then.
Yeah, it'll be quick.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, thank you, Larry.
Yeah.
Next is our, amendment number 2 between Newburgh School District and STA, our current busing company. If you look on the one pager there, you'll see under 2.2 term, Part A, the initial term of this agreement shall begin on July 1 of 2022 and expire on June 30 of 2023. Unless earlier terminated in accordance with this agreement. This contract was for 5 years. We've changed it to 1 year. We do, Vice President for SBA has already signed it. The board to approve the idea that we are changing our contract with SBA from 5 years to 1 year.
I'll move that the Newburgh School District Board of Directors approve the contract number 2 as presented.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the contract amendment number 2 as presented. Is there any discussion?
Dr. Phillips, can you explain a little bit why are we going this route? Why are we doing this?
You there?
No, I understand that, so let me step back a little bit. Why don't we just get rid of them? Give them a notice according to the contract and just get rid of them?
Yeah, we could give them a 180-day notice. And that 180 days would carry us to the end of the school year, so the end result would be the same. However, I guess this is a,
More amicable way.
this is a kinder way to do it, because it's not firing them, it's changing the contract, so it's a 1-year contract. They can walk away saying they honored the 1-year contract. They sign it, we move on. If we impose 180-day, which is in the contract, there's always chances for litigation. So I think it's, yes, more amicable and just for me, we don't need more people mad at us. And so I think it's a good way to go about doing this.
Thank you for explaining that.
And for what it's worth, I do want to say that I appreciate ST. Come to it.
I agree.
It's been a bad situation, but I appreciate them doing Any other further discussion or questions? If not, I will go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the contract amendment number 2 as presented, signify yes by raising your hand. Motion passes unanimous.
Okay, thank you. Next two board action items are easements, and Larry will cover those as well. Thank you.
I have to say, I'm not sure which one's first on your agenda. We have Edwards and we have Callis.
56272, the end of the number.
It's straight.
This is.
715 East Fifth Street.
Okay, okay, that would be Edwards. Sorry, I thought it was Edwards and Callis, but, so. A while back, I came to you with, the easement agreement for the high school. And again, in fact, this time, PG actually sent this handy dandy little easement guide for property owners, as to why, that just kind of explains. But basically, again, the idea is we're placing a new transformer on our property. They need the right to work on that so access to it and the wire underground that gets to it. And so they just need to have that right to do that. They need to have it signed before they will allow us to place the new transformer there. So here at Edwards, in fact, we had the old cafeteria, it didn't even have a transformer. It was just it was like one of the small ones on a pole or something. I mean, it had very limited power. So a new one will be placed out, kind of straight out from college. And then again, just to give the information, I know we need to handle both of them separately, but Callis, it's a similar kind of, there was a smaller one at Callis, but with the increasing size of the building and more systems, there needs to be a bigger one placed. And just because of the work that was done on the parking lot, the existing one is in the wrong place and it needs to be placed in a different place, which means we need a new easement for that. So that's the kind of quick and dirty why I'm back about easements.
Just one question about the one on Denver Road. So the old easement goes away and we just have the new easement, or is it like an increase of the old easement?
Yeah, that's a good, and I think we talked about that last time, because some of the language in the actual legalese is like it does, the old one doesn't go, but they don't have any if it isn't there anymore, they don't have any reason to do it. It's not like they're coming and doing things we don't want them to do. They're just being able to service the piece of equipment and the wire and all that kind of stuff that's there.
Okay,
Any other questions or discussion? If not, I would entertain any motion.
I move that the Newburgh School District Board of Directors approve the PG easement on 715 East Fifth Street and Newburgh as presented.
Is there a
I'll second it.
motion has been made and seconded to approve PG&E easement for 715 East Fifth Street, Newburgh as presented? Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the easement as presented, please signify yes by raising your hand. Motion passes unanimously.
And I will go ahead and make a motion for that the Newburgh School District Board of Directors approve the PG easement on 1421 Deborah Road on Newburgh as presented.
Is there a second?
I second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the PG&E easement for 1421 Deborah Road, Newburgh as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the motion, please signify yes by raising your hand. Motion passes unanimously. All right, we are on
Thank you.
to the board and superintendent comments, and we will begin with Director Schultz.
Basically, I just wanted to give a shout out to our new IT team who came in and worked at Cable Rush when they had the phone and internet outage. They came came in, worked well, and thanks to the teacher and to the staff to keep everything together. And what we hear, things ran pretty smoothly. We appreciate everybody's.
Yeah, I, want to give a shout out to the basketball teams. It's been very fun to watch, the kids play. Just, I don't know, feels like I'm in high school, well, not really, just watching kids play, it's great. And then I had that, gosh, in my mind, I was gonna do great, but I didn't. But that's for the kids to play, and, just kudos to Newburgh, and, to support. I think this weekend they're gonna have a tournament, in the schools, and, so I'm looking forward to, kind of volunteer for that as well, and just participate in the high school activities. I think it's, I'm enjoying that. So, also I want to wish everyone Merry Christmas and a wonderful break. And tell all the staff to enjoy the time off and just, be with your family and just enjoy that. And for the kids and students, just also rest and, enjoy the season and the good things that come about. And
Yeah, I just want to say the same thing, just Merry Christmas, that everyone has a great break. Yeah, thanks for all the hard work.
Yes, I do speak. I'd also like to add a Merry Christmas. Looking forward to this weekend with family coming in from Baker City, which had the EdLeo program. And the chaos of 8 grandkids around the house. I hope you guys have as much fun during your Christmas break as the Ryder family has.
Director. Yeah, I usually don't make comments either, but I did have the opportunity this last week of meeting with Principal Tim Wright. We had a great discussion. First part of it was spent out on the playground. One of the teachers was out sick, so he was filling in there. So it was neat to see the kids playing, even with the weather not being ideal. But we had a good discussion on what some of the needs are, what's going well with the school district. We talked about volunteers and how they're being used. And one of those areas was helping some of the kids that may be behind in their reading level. So I encourage you, if you have time, if that's a passion of yours, this is elementary school, and I just think that if we can do anything in our power to help those kids that may be behind on reading, get up to where they need to be, it's going to improve their confidence. And it's really the foundation and legwork for the rest of their school. And so, they have a need there, and I'm going to start volunteering and doing that. So, like I said, even if reading's not your gig, there's other opportunities to volunteer there and throughout the other schools too. I will echo Raquel's sentiment. I have an exchange student. She's on the varsity ladies team, and they're doing great this year. And so if you get a chance, get out there and watch some of our excellent athletes compete against some of the surrounding schools. Sure.
I will echo everyone else's sentiments. Merry Christmas. I hope everyone is able to spend time with their family and loved ones and come back for the second half of the school year refreshed and energized and ready to go. Anything else, Dr. Phillips, before we adjourn here?
I've got some comment. I have some comments.
Absolutely.
All right, we've got a long list, but I'll try to be somewhat brief. The bond's going well, walls are going up. If you noticed as you came in today, Edwards, right out here, it's got some walls going up. The high school, the new CTE building, it's got walls going up. Our website has had, we posted some of the drone footage. So hopefully you all have seen the drone footage. It's pretty exciting to see that going on. I think that's going to really help us with the mission of educating our students. Briefly, basketball, girls basketball as of right now are 3 wins, 1 loss. Boys basketball right now, one win, 3 losses. Boys swimming, they've had 1 meet, they beat McMinnville. Wrestling, they had 1 meet against Sherwood, and they won 73-3. And then they went to a tournament, Rose City tournament, and they took 2nd overall. Nampa, Idaho took 1st. There were no Oregon teams within 130 points of Newburgh. So they had a great showing. As Director Cole mentioned, Mega Rush, I want to bring that up. That was a trying period for our staff. We had a fiber go out. Our old tech crew knew it was going to go out. The plan was for it to go out, expire over winter break. And during winter break, the plan was to get it fixed. And it just expired sooner than it was supposed to. And then we ran into procurement issues to get the fiber to replace the line. And it just took longer than anybody wanted to. So I do thankful for the staff there and Tim Lauer, the principal. They made the best out of the bad situation. Our new tech guys helped as much as they could. They brought out some mobile hotspots and kind of hodgepodge it together and made go of it. I want to say thank you to the Austin Family Foundation. I wrote a quick grant and they awarded it this week for $10,000. That grant is to help us with outreach for homeschool children. We've lost a lot of children to homeschool for various reasons. Some of them are great reasons, some of them are, just they have every right to do that. But I still think it's important to have a relationship with those families. And so we wrote a grant, $10,000 to have activities here in our buildings that we invite these elementary kids in and we do science labs, specifically science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So STEAM used to be called STEM, now it's STEAM. But nonetheless, we're going to invite them in and have STEAM activities for these homeschool kids. Really excited about that and really thankful for Austin's for their generous donation. Last night I went to a band performance at the high school. Director Joel Tanner did a great job. They had this symphonic band, the Wind Ensemble. They played separately, played together, did a great job. I want to take just a second and call out one particular student. I hope he and his grandma are listening. Nathaniel Swisher. He's a young man. He's a senior. He's a special needs student. And he was playing drums. And his grandma was there helping him. And I couldn't take my eyes off of him. He, by far, was the most excited kid on the stage. And I understand that there were a lot of kids that were probably nervous. He wasn't nervous. He was having a great time banging on the drum. And I couldn't take my eyes off of him. It made me so happy to see him have a great time and perform. And his grandma, Bernie Smith, she was wonderful working with him. And obviously the students and Mr. Tanner helping. It was great to see. So I'm thankful for that band and Mr. Tanner and Nathaniel and his grandma. Lastly, I'll add to what the board has said. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Look forward to great things in the future. Thank you.
Wonderful. We are at the future agenda items section. Does anyone have any future agenda items they'd like to discuss? Okay. Future board meetings. We have a policy meeting on December 15th at 6 p.m. So this Thursday. We have our aforementioned discussed special session on Zoom on December 27th at 7 p.m. And then our next regularly scheduled meeting will be January 10th here in the next year. And with that, I will go ahead and adjourn us at 8:21 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.